something be added to the agenda for future meetings. If a quick discussion is necessary before an issue comes to a vote, please ask to be recognized by the chair and keep it brief and on subject. We have a full agenda this evening, so with no objection, public participation will be limited to 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes total, unless a visitor has contacted the president before the meeting and requested to be officially added to the agenda. Any statements, comments, or questions made during the public participation will be...
I'm sorry, the fans blowing in my ear, I couldn't hear, can I turn it?
Absolutely, whatever you need to.
And could you repeat that last part?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No,
Thank you.
that's fine,
I
that's fine.
didn't see you down there. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
It's okay.
We have a full agenda this evening, so with no objection, public participation time will be limited to 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes total, unless a visitor has contacted the president before the meeting and requested to be officially added to the agenda. Any statements, comments, questions made during public participation will be answered by the president or to whomever he recognizes to respond. Has everybody had the opportunity to review the minutes from the September 5th regular meeting and the September 15th executive session? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as they are written?
I move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I was still reading, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. We have first, we had a motion made and a second. We'll call by roll call to accept the minutes. Melissa? We're calling by roll call.
She said yes.
Oh, you said I couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
No.
Megan?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't get your answer.
No,
Said
you
no.
said no.
And also it was no? Okay.
DJ?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Okay. The motion passes.
We'll now at this time have the treasurer's report.
Yes. Thank you. The treasurer's report is attached to your packet. And this is on the general fund because there were no changes at all in any of the other accounts. They are just as they were when I reported them annually to everyone last month. This balance is to the penny. I wasn't able to find the primary error, but I will. And I'm still digging for it. I think it was just a transaction that got forgotten to be recorded because the QuickBooks was off a little bit from the day. As of this month, the balance is to the penny. So, thank you. I'm reporting the ending balance of the general fund at $878. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the finance report as has been given by the treasurer?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
How much are they off?
Every month for about a year, there has been an error in the old QuickBooks report by about, and it's the same amount every month. That's why I think it's a forgotten transaction. The QuickBooks doesn't match what the bank statement says we have. It's off by $597. And I think it's the same amount. I don't know the exact cents, but every month it comes off wrong, that same amount, and I think that a transaction should be reported. It's in the bank's favor, not in our favor. And it's been that way for about a year, and I just wasn't able to find it. But I will. I just wanted to report to you, the balance is totally this month, it just didn't before. Thank you. We're waiting for a motion. Thank you.
Do I have a second? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm confused. You said that it balanced this month, but it hasn't balanced in the past.
Right. What I did was just make a corrected entry for that $590 some odd dollars to bring it to balance, and I'm gonna have to go back and find out who the check was written to or what, if it was an automatic transaction for insurance or something, I'll find it. So I didn't explain it very well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just didn't understand.
I made a corrected entry, but I don't know what the $590 something was, and it's been off for a year.
I kind of got
By the same amount.
myself, but I caught up with what?
No, I explained it. Thank you.
Okay. So I have a motion to accept the finance report as it is given. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, I'm gonna second my report. I don't know, I don't, the rules on it.
You're voting member, so you have a,
Okay, I second.
okay. We'll go by roll call. Megan?
We still have to vote on roll call, we start.
Tony?
No.
Bob?
Yes.
Melissa?
I'm still confused, I'm sorry guys, I don't mean to be a pain.
No, it's okay.
Not at all.
I mean, it's been a year and we can't find it anywhere in like the bank statement where, I mean, because the bank statement should show,
I was given copies of the bank statements every month, but I didn't have access to QuickBooks. And so it's gonna take me some time to find it now.
gotcha, okay.
Thank you.
Um, um, no, I want to know where that 600 now.
Me too.
We do too. But without the quick, not having access to the QuickBooks, it's
They have it now, right?
to find it.
As I said, I think it was a transaction that didn't get recorded.
We have access to QuickBooks now, right?
Okay. I'm sorry, Melissa, did you vote?
No, I didn't. I said no.
Okay,
Okay,
yes?
chair votes yes.
Yes, Alan voted yes, and the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, at this time we'll go into public participation.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a report on how we're doing on the 200 block of Third Street. We have 4 different options we can work on. One, we're continuing to work on getting grants to work on those buildings. And since the city's economic development director is the chairman of MOCAN, he's continuing to work on that. So Tim Wines will continue to work on trying to get grants. I know that you are all doing that as well. The second thing is that we're working on the possibility of getting some people who would like to buy some of those buildings and move into that now, and I know that you all are working on that. The third thing is we've talked to Main Street, and when we were at the Missouri Municipal League meeting, the Main Street presentation talked about getting grants through the Municipal League through historic preservation to give money to do that. And so we're working on that with Main Street. And the fourth thing is I talked to the president of the Farmers State Bank about doing a historic preservation loan from the bank to the Historic Preservation Society. He will be in Jefferson City at the end of this month we'll talk about that. And there's a possibility to get a loan for the amount of $1 million, which we're talking about, to restore the buildings to at least to the point where they are not a dangerous structure, and we can move forward with some kind of a sale, rental, or correction on it. But all of those 4 different operations, and I'm working to make sure that we work all 4 of those simultaneously, and maybe one of them will come out, and kind of we're talking about doing that in the next year. And I'll keep working with all of those 4 entities to see what we can get, see if we can get one of those to come forward to create the money that we need to necessary to move forward with restoration. I'm going to let you know the report on that, we're working on that. And we're working on all 4 of those, and we'll get a report back from the different people who are involved in that, and we'll get some information from them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Who would be responsible for the $1 million loan?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And I talked to the president of the bank about that, and he said they would like to do that for a number of reasons. One, it was right across the street from them, and they would like to fix it, so they're motivated to do that. But of course, he will have to go back to his board, and his board will have to ask, well, what do we use for collateral, and how do you get the payment back on it? So they'll have to work for those 2 things. So the loan would be a responsibility of the Historic Preservation Society, and you would pay that back by selling the property, and by renting it, or renovating some of them, and renting those buildings out, and you would rent to pay it back. A lot of details of that are not worked out, but we keep working through it, we'll see if we can figure out some way to make it a whole lot.
I have a question, Mr. Rasmussen. The advantage of doing a historic preservation loan through a place like Farmer State is because I'm assuming that the interest is much more forgiving.
Yes, that's correct.
It would be like the like dirt lowest interest that we'd be able to get.
Yeah, yes, they would like to make it happen too. They're right across the street from me.
Thank you. Just wanted to confirm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Keep trying.
Public participation?
I'm sorry, did you have any?
No, I just asked if anybody else for public participation. Okay, we'll move on into the old business. We've got to review the upcoming events. All through October there for the 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th. We have the farmer's market on the 31st. We have the trunk or treat. On November 4th and 5th, we have our gun show that's coming up. Looking forward to that.
Yes.
And then, on the 25th, we have the Festival of Lights.
And the Christmas fair.
And, yes, for the holiday fair.
For the trunk or treat, do we need to break in for that?
Yes, and we'll also,
In the past, what they've always done is any of the board members that could come brought several of like the Sam's Club size bags of candy and then like decorated their car or at least parked here for the line of kiddos to come through and then encouraged their friends to set up too. There, I believe, was it 26 parking places
26, I think.
are available and there have only been 4 or 5 taken. And so that would be great if people get excited about that because the kiddos in town, and their parents depend on it too, because they feel like it's safer than going door to door to homes that they don't know. If you will come to the point of others. The last count we counted last year, I believe 1,500. 1,500 came through last year, and close to that the year some years.
Oh, yes,
Were you all doing, like hot dogs and stuff like we have in the past?
Oh, we'll make a flyer about that.
well, okay.
Actually, that would need more approval. In the past, State Farm always donated the hot dogs and it didn't cost us anything. With permission, I'd be happy to find somebody who would be willing to set up the hot dog stand if the board isn't against it, and we could go ahead and do that. in the past, we also received candy donations from people that can't set up a car, but they still want to contribute, or they leave money and let us go shopping for candy. I'd love to be able to do that the same way, that it's just put in an envelope and tag candy money, and then we run out and get some. I'd love to continue that if there are no objections.
I have a quick question. Didn't Cameron Market donate funds as well?
They did. Cameron Market did the funds.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. The funds came from Cameron Market, the meat, I believe, came from Clifton. And I don't know if they'd be willing, if either one of them would be willing to do it again, but all I'm saying is, if we can do an event where we're not in the hole and it doesn't cost us money and it brings community goodwill, then yay.
Right.
Who knows that? Yep.
Yeah, everyone was okay?
Everybody okay with that?
It wasn't on the agenda either, but the gun show is the next time on the agenda, and I have a question. So if I can have the permission from the chair. Thank you for recognizing me. The gun show is the next.
Okay with that?
I'm not for it.
Okay, well, the community loves it and it doesn't cost us anything, so we can have joy about that. That's good. Okay,
We're not out anything, I mean.
that's great. Thank you. That is great. Okay, and my question before I forgot was, Mr. Nathan, forgive me, his name might be Hall, the one that rents room 1, just wanted to know if his room's going to be used for the gun show or not, so he had a chance to move his things out before Bob needed the room. And then I wanted to ask for an update on just how it's going and if it's going well and if there's lots of people sold and if everything's in line.
Room is supposed to be used,
So you build it in room 1?
room 1 is supposed to be vacant.
Okay, and he said that's fine with him. What date do I need to tell him? Do you want to date him by the 3rd so that you can set up tables and chairs? Would that be early enough?
Well, they're gonna bring in a simulator, from what I understand.
That's right. So do you need the room earlier than the 3rd because he just wants to know?
Yeah, I need to talk to them again if that's the way it's gonna go. Okay.
So you may need it earlier than the 3rd?
Yeah, I'd say about the 1st.
Okay, I'm just going to tell him tomorrow possibly.
Just to make sure everybody has time to get their ducks in a row. Cool.
He was totally willing, and he said that when he rented the room and paid his first lease payment, he hadn't even told me about that, and that he's happy to still do what was discussed. He just wanted to know if you knew it. And my second question was, are you planning on doing concessions? And if so, then is the board doing concessions, or do you have somebody from the outside coming in?
No, it was set up to be done just like we did the last time.
Okay?
Walking tacos for that?
And we did a sign-up sheet last time where us board members brought in some things to kind of save money.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last year, wasn't it? It was a walking
Oh,
talk.
okay.
Can you borrow us too?
Well,
Or really not?
One of the events, we did chili and hot dogs, and then we got chili dogs too, and that was that made some money.
I can't remember, but I know that we've done chili dogs and the walking tacos all at the same time.
And is the Legion doing the breakfast, or did you already have plans for that?
My plans are, I no longer want anything to do with the gun show. I'm gonna turn it over to the people who think that they know what they're doing. So I'm out of this discussion.
That's fine, Tony. Is there breakfast being planned on being served, or is there something you need help with from the board on that? Or do you already have that covered and it doesn't need to be a concern for us?
I'm gonna have to sit and recalculate now.
I'm so sorry, I missed
I'm
it.
gonna have to sit and recalculate now.
Okay. Okay,
I'll
thank you.
let you know.
Okay. The Legion is happy to do the pancakes for breakfast again if you wanted or needed the right.
Yeah, I mean, the way it went last time was fine.
Yep.
I thought it was.
Totally thrilled to do it.
Okay, thank you. Alan can just reach out to you on that later. And inside your board packet, there were 3 envelopes that came back, and I'm not sure
How
if
many
we
people have called the school?
one, and I left the Post-it note.
Right, I got him.
Yes, I gave him your number, and then to make sure to confirm, I put the Post-it note in your board file.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That was all the contacts that I knew about. Thank you.
Anything else under old business we need to discuss before we move on to new business?
Yes, the Christmas fair and Festival of Lights is the next item on the agenda. We've done this for years. The only, just if I may, I didn't ask you already. I guess you did already last week. Thank you. The only cost to doing the Christmas fair and the Festival of Lights to the old school is the cost of giving out 4 plaques that LeBrand Jewelry makes for us. And they come out to be about $25 a piece, and so it ends up costing us about $100. In the money that we will make, I've already had 7 people contact me saying that they want to set up dinner booths for the Christmas fair. So all of the booths, well, guys, if we do the math, if each 10 by 10 space rents for $50, and we can sell 50 to 75 spaces, then we can make around $4,000. And all we will have spent is $100 for plaques for the parade. The only other expense that we will have is if the old school wants to do a float. Then in the past, we've ordered a banner or done some balloons or streamers or something, and done it that way. And then the old school has approved those expenses, or they've several years they told me if the expense is less than 100, that it didn't need approval, just bring receipts when we were done. Whatever y'all want, I'm fine with it. The theme that was voted on, it's always a year ahead. The theme that was voted on this year for the town's theme is White Christmas. Last year it was, I believe, Welcome to Blueville. This year it's White Christmas. So if the old school wanted to have a float and you all have a trailer or a golf cart or anything that you want to do, then I just wanted to confirm with the board that because we would be using the old school's insurance to lead this event, that everybody would be aware that we would recoup that $100 for the plaques back from the holiday fair booth money that we would be making here, and the day would come out at more than double the profit. There's 7 spaces booked now, and it's not even been advertised yet, so I don't think we'll have a problem. So just wanted to update everyone, and if there's no objections, then I'd love to. Yes. I'm so sorry. I should have said yes. I'm not chair.
Yes, Melissa?
What was the booth fee gonna be for the fair? I was just wondering.
Well, if it was similar to what the fall festival was going to be, then for a 10 by 10 space, it would have, I believe it was around 45 to 50. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong.
Depends on if it has electricity, doesn't it?
Yeah, 45 with no electricity, and 50 if it was electric, I believe was what it was.
And then you get paid to rent tables later, is that what
In the past, there's been a separate $5 per table rental or rent their own.
you can bring your own?
Yeah, or they can bring their own.
Okay, so we rent things.
Separate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Regina, I just wanted, while we were talking about Christmas, I'm gonna forget if I don't, this is already the October meeting, and not November will have to be decided. For me, because the basement is so dark, and because the elderly people that love to look at the Christmas tree walk have such a hard time with those steps, then my suggestion is, my suggestion is that we make the upper main level hallway full of white Christmas trees. And we also sometimes have difficulty having volunteers to come in and help with the lights and things like that. And I'm willing to volunteer or do whatever, that's fine. But I think that it would be a more, it'd be less space to have to decorate, and we get more bang for our buck, and more people could see it. And so, and also it would solve the problem of all of the Taekwondo kids slapping the trees and jumping and trying to high-five the decorations when they go down, and it would be in a more public area where the adults could kind of make sure that these weren't leaving that. So it would be my request. Out of respect for the old founding board members like Mrs. Sharp and Mrs. LeGrand, the old school always had a traditional tree. And then it'd be nice if we just did a white Christmas lineup down the hall here and did some lights and illuminations here. It was just a thought. Doesn't have to be decided today, I just wanted to bring it up while I was thinking of it.
Yes.
Will that get in the way of setting up vendors out here for the holiday fair? We have issues on this level. Do we set up the holiday?
We may not get as many vendors as we got last time, but last year at the holiday fair, I mean, we used this room. So if we decorated the hallway, and we had the upstairs hall and and with everyone's permission, if they're okay with that, then some of the vendors for just purposes of the holiday fair could use the basement hallway. And we could just, it's lit, and people that wanted to handle stairs, but people that want to look at the trees and elderly people that come after the parade, it would be boom, you come through the door and it's beautiful. That's all I was thinking of. Yeah, that's it. And Miss Melissa ever handled too.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was just asking, you said it was gonna be less space, so we wouldn't get near as many trees, right? Is that, did I misunderstand that? If we did it up here instead of downstairs?
Well, I mean, as many trees as we thought could fit that wouldn't be a hazard to the fire code, and as many of them as we could get decorated. I mean, I probably only have time to decorate 2 or 3. If the other board members wanted to decorate, and what I wanted to suggest was hang up a flyer in the hallway and ask the tenants to adopt a tree and decorate.
That's it. Yeah. And just for, I know.
If the board was okay with that, these are things that aren't gonna cost you money.
Right. I know in past times, the holiday fair, there was people in the hallway that, and so that was the next question.
Right. And so if we put the trees there and people don't object to just moving the vendors other places, then.
Well, if we have them in here before we can put them in here, put the trees out there.
Well, see, I think we utilize this room, the library, and I think the ballroom plus this hallway.
Did we do the hallway upstairs?
I'm sorry.
Did we have vendors in the hallway upstairs?
We were also selling concessions out of the hallway, and so if we really got down to it, it would just mean we'd have to, when we book vendors, we'd only lose maybe 4. We just have to shut down before we book the hallway space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah, it does.
My understanding is the previous administration in the office that had negotiated room 1 for the gun show, also negotiated the fact that they would use room 1 for the holiday fair. Am I wrong on that?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I don't remember.
He was supposed to stay out for both events.
He's still willing to, but as the booth spaces get booked, then I don't see anything wrong with using that as overflow space only, and then people have to move the stuff out, depending on how many vendors we book.
Right, but we have,
Yeah.
That was my understanding.
And you were correct. Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to bring it up in this book. Here. Christmas is approaching.
Move on to new business.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is a new business? The renewal of 200 block insurance annual premium is on. Mr. Baker?
You have the quote.
Yeah.
Yes, in their packets, each board member will have a quote, and Mr. Baker should explain and answer any questions for anyone.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to have this with you.
Thank you for having me.
We have had several discussions about this, and when it started, it didn't look very good.
It didn't look
It
good at
looked
all.
like the renewal from the existing carrier had gone up 2.5 times.
What was that original quote, over $13,000?
Well, we estimated the excess, we never got a quote on it, but the primary went from like 3,000 to 8,300 or something like that. Before the excess, which is the additional layers of liability that we need to satisfy the city to make our software union. Okay? So, Tanya in my office, she kept working really hard for this excess coverage. You know, when she found the person that would do the excess coverage, they would write, they said, why don't you let us write the underline, the basic first minute? So she said, sure, give me a quote. Well, it came out to, they had the whole thing for about what the excess was last year. I think we did when today, this is how much less than last year?
Close to $1,500 less than last year. I believe last year's insurance was maybe 4600 I think.
So you see, it's $3,287.75, and that provides the $1 million worth of liability, which is the primary liability, which covers the negligent act that you all would have if someone got hurt on those properties that premises. Okay? And then it also has the excess liability that gives us another $2 million. So it's a total of $3 million of coverage there. And under liability, for any policy to pay, there has to be a negligent act, and if there's disagreement about what negligence was not, sometimes it goes to court. We're going to defend that. If the company thinks that you all weren't negligent in it, and if a jury or judge would say that we were, then they're going to make payment, or if we wouldn't have the case, then we wouldn't. But it's got defense coverage above and beyond this. Okay? So it gives you peace of mind that someone gets hurt out there, and there's a responsibility on you all, because you have the property lease, and if you have a jury or it's just determined that there was negligence in that accident, the policy is going to pay it, not going to pay. So you got $3 million of coverage for less money than we had last year. This time you really worked on the same as you building, and got it to $300.
That is, I thought that was absolutely.
Oh, you got the rest of it, she gave you that. Great!
Yeah. Okay.
So, questions? I went through that really quick, but it's pretty simple. Cover.
If mine is not a question, it's just a statement. You had confirmed with me over the phone that there are a few there's a couple of additional terrorism riders that we do not have to purchase, that are not required by us or the city, that are not included in the $1,300 quote. And if any of the board members wanted to know what those attached sheets were, I just want you to have a chance to make a stab at that.
For $100, I'm around the ball. Easy numbers, guys. For $131, you want terrorism coverage. If there would be an act up there by terrorism that would cause a problem, it's excluded unless you pay $131.
So in other words, this coverage for $3,200 wouldn't cover something like an active shooter on the roof or something strange like that.
There again, it has to be deemed terrorist act, and it has to happen that would cause you to have a negligent act or somebody got hurt or crashed.
Did
Terrorist
I
act
ask?
doesn't have to be more than one person getting hurt.
I'm sorry?
If it's a terrorist act, doesn't have to be more than one person getting hurt.
So
All this started when they blew up Oklahoma.
Yeah.
then they started
That's when
changing
all
the
this
way.
started. And the federal government said, first they were going to put terrorism charge on every policy. It's a little percentage. And then they allow us to delete some of that off if you wish.
You have our Zion Prep coverage as well, and just for the record, we don't purchase the extra terrorism.
If I was the city and I had a water treatment plant, or I was a school, or I was a high target item, I would let them have terrorism. At this level, it's the board's decision if you want to add it.
And it's an extra $100 and some dollars, but it's not required. Okay, thank you.
The other thing about this is this policy renews the 5th, 12:01 a.m. Is that what it is?
That is correct.
Yeah, 5th.
So we have to
So I
make a
have to
payment.
have form signed and money by the 4th, but I believe that's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
I have to get it in writing to the insurance company and cover.
May I recognize that?
Yes, you're in that.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Baker for coming first of all, and second of all, to thank Ms. Tanya personally, and I did email her and thank her for the extra work that she did, because $13,000 made me sit down and ball. The second thing I wanted to say was that I realize that everyone knows that I'm passionate about the 200 block, and everybody's time is valuable, so I'm not going to go on and on. But I realize our first priority and our first responsibility should be to this building, and I know that. But I would like to say that since Mr. Rasmussen's been so forthcoming with some new leads that may develop, and since $3,200 buys us 12 months, that my prayer would be that everyone give it one more chance. Because by 5 o'clock Wednesday, if we don't, the deeds go back to the city and you know what's gonna happen. Now, and that doesn't mean that when we sit here October of next year, that doesn't mean that the buildings might be all fixed by then. But, I would just hate to think that we gave up so early when we had hope. But thank you for listening.
I've also, just to throw it out there, have been in communication with a private investor that's thinking about it. Haven't heard anything back yet, so.
And it's leads we didn't have before. It's leads we didn't even have a month
It
ago.
comes up that we didn't have last year, and so I hate to give up on when we're possibly getting close to.
The other thing I also wanted to add was if everybody remembers the annual statement that was given last month, that the special projects account does have over $4,000 in it. And so the money is available if this is a decision that everybody would be willing to make. We wouldn't have to touch the general fund to be able to do this. And then we have upcoming fundraisers that would come up, that would put us in a better financial footing. Just asking for that consideration.
As far as insurance goes, coverage, price, I answered everybody's question.
You have for me, sir?
We're good.
Okay. Well, y'all decide.
Okay.
You have to touch me tomorrow. Let me know yea or nay. Okay. We'll take care of it. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Kirby.
Appreciate it. Well, with that being said, do I have a motion that we go ahead and take care of this liability insurance and give it a shot for 1 more year? For the 3287.75 to pay the LD for the liability insurance on the 200 block of West 3rd Street. Do I have a motion for just go ahead and pay that and see what we can get handed out, give it one more shot?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I have a question.
Yes.
How much money have we spent on the 200 block of insurance, architect fees,
The original,
on everything we spent, because we haven't got anything back on it yet.
Well, everything that we have put into it so far from our fundraisers was so that we could proceed on with being able to obtain grants, which we all discussed many times around the board table when we first took on the buildings. So I think the original, payment for the grants was,
was it 8,000?
it was 8,000, I think it was 8,100 what it came to.
And the
And
insurance
the
is
grant that we
there.
were filing for, in conjunction with the city, we could not file for the grant without a feasibility study, which had to break it down into different stages and what each stage would cost.
And that
One
was
or
the
more
answer.
grant application to be filled out, and that was another $3,000.
And then the insurance for 2 years.
I understand that, but when we agreed to this, we also agreed that the city would pick up the insurance, and they changed the game on that, not us. That wasn't our fault. And you signed the contract without picking it up.
The city accountant reviewed the contract day before yesterday. And because I wasn't able to readily find a copy, I got a copy at home, but I couldn't find it. And Carmen Megan said that it was not in the contract that the city did the insurance.
No, it was a verbal agreement, was it not?
I recalled the conversation and I believed that it was. But since it's not on paper, then this is where we are. So
it's very simple. We'll vote. It's going to take a 4-2 to pay it.
even if it in writing, it would have been different, but
And if we
it's.
don't, then we're going to go back to the city.
Just a moment, please. Did you address that to the board? Or is an installment plan possible on this premium? It has to be paid up front. Okay. Good question. As I said, the money is available in the promotions account. It's just going to take more approval.
Okay. So I have a motion, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll vote by roll call. Melissa? Bob?
No.
Tony?
No,
Megan?
Yes.
BJ?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We don't have the 4-2 to pay the insurance. So Steve, we're going to be going back to the city.
Okay, so I understand the motion to pay for the insurance is failed.
It's a deadline.
Tied.
Well, tie, then you can have a means of breaking a tie.
Nope.
In the bylaws, we don't, or the leadership right now.
Then it takes normally it would take a majority vote to pass, and if it's a tie, then it fails.
Take 2/3, and if you don't have it, then it fails.
Okay, I will take that back to the city that it failed. The way the contract reads is very clear that if the Historic Preservation Society is required to pay the insurance, and if we fail to do that, then the contract is null and void, and return it back to the city. And the city will retain ownership of the property and move forward.
Okay. Okay, housekeeping items. We'll talk to my extension, I've heard you some tenants here that should have some questions that we answered.
May I be reading this?
Yes.
Yes, that was me. Katie Smith in the photography studio downstairs wishes to do a little bit of painting on the walls and the concrete flooring down there. I don't think that there's any like woodwork or trim or anything that would affect the historic stuff of the building. She just wanted permission to paint.
Okay.
She's provided to paint. She just wanted permission.
What room is she in?
The room below this one.
If they're providing the paint, I don't, and it's no cost to us, I don't have a, personally myself, I don't see where that's a problem with my everything. That's up to the rest of the
Then it'll have to go to the police.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a solid color for the reflection of the light. I think it's like a light.
Okay.
It's for photography.
All right. Yes, Melissa.
I just want to make sure that it's not, I mean, I haven't been down there to see that room, but it's not going to hurt our historic park,
No,
right?
they're just gonna paint the walls,
Okay.
which have been done many times on a lot of the
Oh,
other
yeah,
buildings, you know,
yeah.
and stuff like that. She just wants to paint it a neutral color like white, so it reflects for the
Reflects
studio,
lights.
for taking
Gotcha.
pictures.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if it's gonna be something like her orange or
Yeah.
lime red, I think we're gonna have to talk about it. You
Right.
like that?
Right.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to give the photography studio downstairs permission to go ahead and paint the walls?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I said that.
Okay, we'll go by roll call. BJ,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Tony? Yeah. Bob?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay. Take it away.
Same thing with the same situation with the Rotary Club and the Rotary
Yes.
Club room. They know that they cannot touch the original woodwork and they don't want to touch the chalkboards. They just want to paint the plastered area. And it's going to be in the Rotary colors. It's going to be like a sage and cranberry, sage with cranberry trees. But it will only be the plastered areas.
Okay. Do I have a motion to allow the Rotary Club to paint their ribbon? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We'll go by roll call. DJ?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Elise?
Yes.
He said
He
yes.
said yes.
Okay. Bob?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Okay.
All right.
The next housekeeping item was Nathan in the 3D printing room, the room one.
Room one.
He said that there was talk of building a wall and taking that seat out and all those things. He loves that seat and wants it kept in there. And he loves the way the room looks without the wall, and he loves the floors the way they look. He's just asking for permission to be able to seal the brick that's exposed and paint the plastered areas. Again, just painting the plaster, no woodwork, and leave the chalkboards alone. He loves them.
Okay.
And he said,
Room
in room
one.
one. And he said if he does some of that brick ceiling work himself, that if he brings some receipts or something, that we would be willing to adjust a little bit off of his rent for the materials that he puts in.
Okay. Do I have a motion to allow the graphic designer room in room one to do the housekeeping he wants to do, the cleaning and the gelatin and the brick, the painting of the plaster on the
He wants to
wall,
seal it the way Joanna's is,
Yep.
and it looks lovely.
and turn the receipts into us and make some type of a minor adjustment on his rent for him for whatever materials he puts in. So do I have a motion for that?
I make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll go by roll call. DJ?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Elise?
Yes.
Bob?
You already said yes.
Oh, but I said yes?
Yes.
And you Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, and Chair votes yes. So we will go further, overtaking your necessary adjustment. Okay. Okay, we are now going.
Sorry, we're asking. The AA room wanted to inform everybody that they wanted to put a dorm-sized, one of those little, those little refrigerators to keep the water bottles cold. And I said, I don't think you have to ask permission to plug something in. And they said, it's going to use electricity, we just want you to know. And I said, I would tell them.
Okay.
I don't think that takes board approval. It's just one of those dorm-sized refrigerators that's sealed. It doesn't damage the room, it just uses a little bit of power. And I just said I would inform you guys.
I don't think that's an item that we need to vote on, and put a little small tiny refrigerator in there.
I didn't either.
Okay. Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn from our regular meeting before we go into our annual meeting.
You haven't asked if there's any items to add to the approval.
No, I don't look at it. Thank you.
You're welcome, so.
Do we have any items that we need to add to the November meeting for next month? That anybody can think of at this time? Any items to be added?
I'll have an update for the Christmas fair by then to let everybody know how it's going with the 6. And we'll have a financial report for the gun show that we'll need to review, so we'll know how much profit that made,
Okay.
so we can review the finances for our gun show.
All righty, that's fine. Okay, do I have a motion then to adjourn from our regular meeting?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We will now go into our annual meeting.
Can we take a break for 5 minutes?
Absolutely, I'm sure somebody's got to go to the restroom and get a drink of water. This policy clearly states that we will promote to voting positions from our advisory board first, before someone who has never been a member is considered. We will be following that policy for the purpose of this election. We have an opening for the seventh board position as it stands, and we have a more than qualified member of the advisory board ready to fill it. We adopted this policy with good reason several years ago so that we could all be comfortable with those serving, and so that we could all know the office they would serve best. So we will follow our own policy that we voted in good reason and vote to fill that position from within before any other candidates are considered. For the remaining officers, each office will be named from advisory to president, and any current board member may name someone to be nominated for each office, with preference being given to advisory board members. Anyone nominated for any office this evening who does not receive 4 votes will not be entered into any office for any current board member, including advisory. Who does not receive 4 votes, to remove them will remain in place unless they choose to resign. It will take 4 votes to add or remove anyone, and we will be voting by roll call. The secretary will call the offices and the roll to record in the minutes.
There's a lot to go through, and we can go through it quickly if we work together. The first position is for advisory board, and right now the 2 advisory board members that we have are 3, Phyllis LeBrant, honorary advisory board member, even though her physical condition doesn't let her come to every meeting, she's still on advisory. And Peggy Sharp and Wyatt Hinton. I nominate all 3 of them to, and we'll probably have to go on them one at a time, but I vote on all 3 of them to remain on advisory board.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion that Phyllis Brandt, Peggy Sharp, Wyatt Effington remain on the advisory board at this time. Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We'll call by roll call. BJ?
I think we have to go through each officer one at a time.
That's what we're doing. We're doing the advisory first.
No,
Should start with.
but we have to do each individual person one at a time, so
Oh,
we're
that's
starting
right.
with
I
Phyllis.
understand. We'll start with Phyllis LeBrand.
So, okay, Jay and Megan made the
I
motion.
understood.
Okay,
My fault.
okay. All right, for Phyllis LeBrand for advisory board. Alan?
Yes?
Tony?
No.
BJ, yes? Robert?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
And Megan?
Yes.
Okay, and Phyllis remains on the advisory board, of course. Okay, Wyatt Effington? And we'll roll Alan?
Yes?
Tony?
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
BJ is yes. Robert River?
No.
Melissa?
No.
And Megan?
Yes.
Okay, 4 votes get you on and 4 votes get you off, so Wyatt remains on the advisory board. Peggy Sharp? Yes.
Okay, never mind, sorry. I misunderstood, sorry.
Everyone retains their position unless there's 4 votes.
Okay.
Okay, Peggy Sharp. Sorry, I got off on my lines. Okay, Alan?
Yes?
Tony?
No.
BJ is yes. Robert?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
And Megan?
Yes.
Next will be nominations for members at large. For members at large right now, we have Melissa and Megan. And so they can be voted on, or one of them is resigning, then nominations can be accepted. Whatever we have to do, the next category is members at large.
Okay.
So if both of them are intending to remain on the board, then I'm assuming that we begin by voting, okay? All right. Let me try and answer this. Okay, so, for Melissa, for member at large, Alan,
Yes.
Tony,
Okay, that means just stay on the board, I mean, what,
they would say that you would be voting for them to stay in their current position,
yes,
okay? BJ, no. Robert,
Yes.
Melissa, you have to vote
I
on
vote for
yourself.
myself?
You do have to, yes.
Okay, yes.
We will all have to, yes. And Megan,
Yes.
okay? All right, and for Megan. Alan,
Yes.
okay? Tony,
no,
okay? BJ is yes. Robert,
Yes.
okay? Melissa,
Yes.
and Megan, you have to vote on yourself.
Yes.
Yes, okay? Melissa and Megan are retained as members at large. Okay, there is an open 7th board position. Are there any more nominations for the board?
Any more nominations?
Okay, Melissa and Megan remain. Okay, the next position would be for the chief custodian, and that would be Robert Weber's position. Okay, so we have to vote by roll call, I'm assuming. Okay, Alan?
Yes.
Okay, Tony?
vote to keep Robert in the position of city.
In his current position, if he wants to serve it, yes. That's okay, Alan, sorry for the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, BJ is no. Robert, you have to vote on yourself.
Yes.
Okay? Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, and Megan?
Yes.
Okay? Okay. Next would be secretary. As it stands right now, we don't have a secretary, and according to the minutes, I was voted to serve as secretary / treasurer about a year ago. So we, unless it's a nomination to split up those positions, what would happen is you'd be voting for secretary, treasurer combined, or someone else would have to be nominated and receive 4 votes to split up if that makes sense, to split it up. Does everybody understand that? Okay, I was initially voted on the board as treasurer. With the resignation, I've been doing the secretary job too. So I've been serving as secretary treasurer, which is legal according to the bylaws. Since we're electing, what happens is, then you'd be voting for me to serve as secretary treasurer, or if someone nominates somebody else, then that position would be split, but that other person would have to receive 4 votes. Okay. All right, so do we begin? Alan?
Yes.
Okay. Tony?
No, we are voting to nominate somebody else.
Voting for her to stay with what she's
No
doing.
nominations were given, so you'd be voting on whether or not.
Secretary, right?
Secretary treasurer.
Unless somebody else wants to take it. Which nobody's doing. You only nominate people from the advisory board.
No, we get first preference to advisory board members, but the only 2 advisory board members that we have that would be available, since Phyllis is at the nursing home, would be Peggy or Wyatt. Wyatt is related to Alan and me, and so Peggy would be the other person to ask, and she's not here to accept a nomination for that job. So it would be appropriate to nominate her this evening, because she's not here to agree on whether or not she wanted to do the job. We've given her first preference. If somebody wants to nominate someone else, how that would work is anybody can nominate anybody they want to, but it would take 4 votes to get them on the board for either position, secretary or treasurer. We gave first preference to advisory.
I'm gonna nominate somebody else for the treasurer position.
Okay,
That'd be Dan Peterson.
okay. All right, so BJ Lee and Dan Cumbersmith are up for the secretary treasurer position. And it would take, if neither one of us gets 4 votes, then I retain the position because there's not 4 votes. If I do not receive 4 votes, to vote me out. So we'll have to vote for both. Okay, that's fine. I wanted to make sure it's on the right line. Okay, so we can vote on Dan first. Okay? And then we can vote on me. Alan?
No.
Tony?
Yes.
BJ is no. Robert?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Megan?
No.
Okay? So with that, by default, I'll stay in my position because there were not 4 votes. Thank you. Okay, the next position is vice president. So if Tony is intending to keep his position, then he would be the next person to be elected. And I'm assuming nobody said anything different. Okay, so, all right. By roll call, Alan?
Yes.
Okay? Tony, you have to vote on yourself?
Yes.
Okay? All right. BJ is no. Robert?
Yes.
Yes. Melissa? Yes. And Megan?
Yes.
Okay? All right, Tony? All right, and then the next office will be president. Okay? Alan. And unless there's any more nominations for president. Alan, we're voting on president.
Yes.
Yes? Okay? Tony?
No.
Okay. BJ is yes. Robert?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa?
Yes.
Okay. And Megan?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it looks like everyone retains their current offices. We still have a vacancy for the 7th position. And congratulations to the advisory members, Phyllis, Wyatt, and Peggy. And that will be entered into the minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
The agenda just says installation of officers. I don't have a saver and I don't have holy water, so I guess everybody
That's
can
it.
Scott
start.
Cherry Lemon.
Okay, Trey Line, that's close
Can
enough.
we all get splashed or baptized, so I think that baptism is a good idea this one.
That's why.
It's on the agenda for this portion, but I thought it would correct my question. I think that the decision that was made to not remove the insurance and to relinquish possession of buildings is a big decision that should be announced on social media before the review starts spreading. So I would advise you guys to.
Before any,
I mean, it's already public knowledge
I was gonna say that.
Jimmy doing it, so I think we should make an announcement ourselves on our official page that we know that.
I didn't know how to do that. I'm also wondering what the harm would be if we were able to come up with enough private donations to be able to make that insurance payment, if the board would be willing to change their mind. There would be no additional cost to us other than the $3,200
And that was
for a year,
that was a year.
for a year.
Give the private donations.
I would just rather, it's, since we're all here together, I'd rather just say that I think that we have an opportunity to reason together. If everyone's concern is that they think that the buildings are going to keep nickeling and diming us, then any other cost that would be incurred would have to be voted on by the board anyway. So right now, all we're looking at right now is just the immediate decision of being able to retain the buildings for more time, and it's for $3,200, and we have. Would I want to spend it? Well, no, to be honest with you, I would rather the city pay half. And I realize that the conversation probably did happen verbally. But I also think that there's an opportunity for us here to realize that maybe some decisions that all of us have made of late may have been made in haste, and that if we take a moment to breathe and talk things out and have some respect for the other's ideas. I know where everybody's coming from. I think probably that everyone else's concerns are that we did pay $8,000 to the structural engineer, and we have paid for 2 years worth of insurance, and nothing's happened yet. But I also am just asking one more time for people to consider that when we entered into this agreement with the city, that we committed to 5 years. And I realize you guys might not want to give it that long. But I beg and implore of you for a little understanding that we can get through this. And if we're in the same place next October that we are tonight, I'll be the first one to know. I'll be the first.
So are you asking us to approve the money now, or are you asking us to approve?
I was asking for, I am asking for reconsideration. I'm asking.
BJ, I'm sorry, I can't. They promised us. And around here, a promise means something. At least in my book it does. And they said it. And if we let them off the hook again, if it's so valuable, then why would they want to tear them down? They want us to do the work and us to spend the money and us to go get $1 million loan. But they won't pay $3,000 for insurance?
The no interest $1 million loan was one of 4 suggestions he made.
They come up with it.
And I understand your reservations because I think that there was a verbal comment made. I was there too. I can remember that. I honestly, if the truth be told, I remember it being said too. Verbally. But it didn't get put in writing. There's nothing that we can do about that now. But what is half of $3,200? Half of $3,200 is 16. We would have had to pay the first 16 anyway. Could we be willing to work together and put one more shot for 16?
He also said they were condemned buildings again. Did he?
No, they're not.
No, I know we had
They're
our engineers say they're not, but he sat there tonight
The city
and
has
said they were condemned
I
buildings.
think that was a misquoted terminology. They're listed technically as dangerous structures. They've not been condemned, and they have to go to court to do that. So I think that was a misunderstanding. That's what I'm saying. If you can talk some of these things out, I think they do prevent some upset. They're not condemned. A judge would have to declare them condemned and then give a time frame of when the demo would happen. They're listed as dangerous structures. Nothing else has happened. Nothing else has happened. We have to move on as a board and do the things that we're committed to do for this building, whether we're able to agree on this tonight or not. But I'm begging you to think about this. I'm begging.
You probably need to go back into a regular session. I really don't care what your opinion of me is. Y'all have mismanaged this place for 2 years.
I said I agreed. Excuse me. I said I agreed to your
I have
opinion.
sat here and listened to this bullshit.
That language is not acceptable, and I call a point of order, and I asked for control of the meeting.
Okay.
We need to get it under control.
All right.
We need to watch our language, and we need to act professional, Councilwoman.
Well,
Well,
I will point
Gina,
out. No, do not interrupt me.
this is a
Do
public,
not interrupt me.
this is not public participation. I'm asking that the meeting be called to order. I'm asking the chair to call the meeting to order.
Do you want advice or help or not?
this meeting,
Do you want advice and help or not?
I am happy to ask if we can go back into regular session.
we'll go back into
If
regular
that is the
session.
appropriate etiquette, and I apologize to the rest of the board if I reached something in etiquette that I didn't know was a rule. Would someone second a motion to go back into regular session? If I made a motion.
Do I have a motion to go back into regular session?
I just did.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah, you do. I want to hear what she has to say.
Okay. Those in
If it
favor of
should-
going back into regular session, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, let's,
I would like to hear what you would like to say.
If it can be done. if it can be done, respectfully.
All right, I will mention that we are still in the fourth year of this Main Street program. I've been elected president for another year. After that, Linda Prince will become president. And we will be having a succession plan that involves the business people that know what they're doing. I also have been studying the financial aspects of running a nonprofit and also boards of nonprofits. I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. There are things that you can put in place for controls for your finances so that it will be transparent to all the public and that it will also help your cash flow.
Are we talking about the second, are we talking about the village?
I'm talking about everything.
I called a point of order.
I'm trying to
It's
say-
totally off subject and I'd like it to
This
be.
is all, so we called this back in to discuss whether we're gonna pay the insurance.
You wanted to
Or
know,
not.
you wanted to hear my opinion, I'm
Ma'am.
starting from the beginning.
I'm asking the chair to call the meeting to order.
This meeting's called to order, and you're done,
Thank you.
you're done. Now, we're gonna continue on
Yes.
the topic of what you were originally wanting to talk to this board about on 200 block of West Third Street concerning the payment for the liability insurance. So what you have to say, and then we'll decide what we want to do before we adjourn.
Thank you so much. I want to apologize to the board if I was off track on the proper way to, if that should have been handled at the election part of the meeting. I created an error in etiquette, or parliamentary procedure, whatever you call that. So I apologize for that. Thank you guys for letting the meeting go back into regular session. And I said my piece, regarding that, my love for the 200 block, which you know I have. If the board would be willing to understand, I know that it seems like that the $3,200, I guess that for Bob, I shouldn't assume anything. I guess I should just ask because you just said. What is bothering me the most is the fact that you're under the impression the city needs to pay half and you don't feel that they kept their word.
No, they didn't.
Was I right about saying that that's what's under your problem?
That, in fact, we haven't seen any progress out of it. We've been spending money on it, and we are in a deficit here in this building. We
Which
need
you
to take
are
care of our home before we worry about our outlying facilities.
I understand that.
My main concern is this building. Right now, that's my concern. We cannot let anything happen without pushing this building.
I think there's a chance that we can easily do that.
I agree there.
And I call the meeting to order.
Again.
I call the meeting to
There's
order.
no public participation here. This meeting's called to order.
I'm sorry that you don't want advice.
I asked that the chair ask for the leave. I asked that the chair ask for the leave.
Studying for
There's
2
been
years.
several mornings I said I asked that the chair ask for the leave.
I've been studying for 2 years.
Ma'am, if you can't be quiet while we're in our meeting, I'm gonna ask you to leave.
And I'm gonna ask you.
And if you can't
She needs
leave,
to leave.
I will find somebody to come here and help you leave.
Okay. In the meantime,
Alan,
Ma'am,
yes, you need to
Ma'am.
pay the insurance.
Ma'am.
Yes, you have committed to 5 years.
we're done.
Whether the city,
I make a motion that this meeting come to adjournment.
No, I do not. No. I do not.
whether the city.
I have a point of order.
It's.
I have a point of order. I'm asking the chair to call the meeting to order
yourself and you're disrespecting this meeting. Now either Sit there.
No, she's already been asked to leave. According to Robert's Rules of Order, she has to leave.
exit the room.
Leave.
Leave, Councilwoman.
Why will you not
Leave
listen to
this-
advice? Why will you not listen to advice? I do
Ma'am,
not,
you're out of order.
We'll sit here until she leaves.
We'll sit here until you're out of this room. If we sit here till midnight. I got all night.
I do too.
I'm a night owl. Call
Yeah.
and have her removed.
Just because I want to say,
The police are
You
being
are out
called.
of
you
order.
have,
The police are being called.
you've put a lot of money
This is
into,
all,
I need a patrolman to come up to the old school right away.
you've put a lot of money into.
Please hurry.
The.
We have an architect person there right now. We're meeting. Please come down.
You put a lot of effort into the building. You've gotten insurance down to $3,300, which is something that you have.